Hi, I'm Kevin. And that's George Orwell, who once said the human being is a bag for putting food into. George was sort of right, but it's not all that simple. What we put into the bag and how much says a lot about who we are and how we live. I was having dinner the other night with my family. And like you, we shared news of the day, passed around the meat and vegetables, and chomped into apple pie for dessert. As I ate my slice, I wondered how much we really understood about the connections between our food, our health, and the rest of the world. We like to think that those brightly colored peppers, strawberries, cucumbers, grapes, tomatoes, and asparagus we just bought at the grocery store came from good old Farmer Brown, just up the road. Well, think again. They could easily have come from any one of well over 100 different countries and counting. For some of us, buying locally can be an important part of our lifestyle. But it doesn't always guarantee that our food is safer, healthier, more affordable, sustainable, or available when we want it. We face tough choices, but too few of us are paying attention. This isn't good. We can't continue to ignore our health and future by taking food for granted. Oh sure, we get all panicky about the latest food scare, which appears to be happening more, like salmonella in peanut products, E. coli in leafy greens, or the possibility of pathogens in our meat and poultry. We fret about the latest supermarket price increase, but otherwise we know little about what it takes to put food into our hands. So let's look at what we eat. Our food comes to us in ways that might even amaze Farmer Brown. The business of food is bigger, more specialized, owing to new technologies, government support policies, rising demand, and population growth. Our food choices are expanding like crazy. In the United States, we only spend 10 cents of every dollar on food, but that dime buys us a lot. In the 1980s, the average supermarket stocked around 15,000 products. Today, it carries a whopping 50,000 and climbing. Yet producing and getting food to us uses vast amounts of finite resources: land, water, fossil fuels. Worldwide, agriculture uses 70% of available fresh water. In the U.S., the food system uses 10 to 20% of total energy. The business of food is highly competitive. Food is being flown and shipped all over the world, sometimes traveling with nasty microbes that we prefer not go along for the ride. Around 60% of food ingredients are purchased globally, providing us greater selection and lower price, but also creating complex supply chains that can make it harder to ensure safety and quality, especially with the wide range of economic, cultural, and health differences that exist worldwide. Some people think we should just go back in time to the way things used to be. This sounds appealing, but farming practices and productivity of decades past cannot feed the entire world. Did you know that in order to meet changing diets and growing populations, that the amount of food will need to double within the next 40 years? This may make existing economic disparities even worse, as much of the demand will be in emerging economies. Unlike the U.S., remember the 10 cents? India already spends about 40 cents of every disposable dollar on food. And Nigeria, rich in oil, still spends around 70 cents of every dollar on food. So now let's look at how we eat. Remember the cozy family dinner? Well, more than half of our food is partially or fully prepared outside the home. And, get this, some 20% of our calories are now consumed in cars. Many of us are torn between junk food and healthy food. And some of us are choosing that little junk food devil sitting on our shoulder more than ever. Often because it's convenient, less expensive, and it tastes good. Miss Piggy once said, "Never eat more than you can lift." And we are eating more, while being less active than before. In 2004, 66% of Americans were overweight. By 2015, that number will rise to 75%. In the simpler old days, we ate what was seasonally available, which limited what and how much we could eat. But now we shovel in anything we want, when and wherever we want. Whoa! And this trend is not restricted to the U.S. As incomes grow, diets change, no matter where you live. The Chinese consumer who ate 44 pounds of meat in 1985 consumed 110 pounds in 2008. High-fat, high-sugar consumption, sometimes called the Western diet, is spreading around the world faster than goodies smuggled onto a fat farm. The number of overweight people on the planet is now on par with the number of malnourished. Too much food accounts for 10 to 33% of disease, while not enough food accounts for 10% of disease. And beyond this are other issues, such as how to utilize our limited natural resources, increase trust in governments and those providing our food, better manage food scares and outbreaks, improve safety and standards of food traveling across national borders. Unethical acts, like adding harmful ingredients such as melamine, a potentially toxic substance in pet and human food, are exposing limits to what governments can anticipate and act upon. So, what's the big problem? Well, all of these changes, diet, food scares, global supply chains, diminishing resources, and growing populations, are challenging traditional assumptions surrounding our food world. Right now, it's everyone for themselves, each wanting their own cake and eating it too. We've created a food world with multiple layers of specialized agendas. Everyone is hunkered down, defending their own slice. This isn't sustainable. So, what can we do? Expecting governments to resolve complex problems ignore our collective responsibility for what exists and what can be done. We need to raise awareness, try different things, create new incentives, reward creative leadership. We need to do more. Change is scary, but it's also promising. The good news is that technology and global social networking are empowering all of us. Producers, consumers, food companies, special interests, governments, and academia must work together and create a greater voice and role in sustainable actions. Food impacts all of us. We have to realize that we all share these problems and must work together if we want to affect change. So the next time you pop some food into that human bag that you are, or take your food world for granted, think about how you're either contributing to your own health and society's future, or one that's going to be the devil to pay. Visit our website for a list of 10 ideas and information to get you started.